Okay, I will start in just a minute. Let me get organized with my screen. My last class ran a little long because went over some instructions at the beginning. I don't expect this class to take more than 30 minutes, though, because we have a shorter amount of notes, but I'll also go over how to access assignments and things here in just a minute. Okay. Okay, so a couple things real fast before we get started with the actual lesson. We are going to continue on mostly on track with our schedule that we had before we had went on break, but things might just be a little bit like week off. I'm going to have several different things that I'll have you guys do on a normal basis. Try to keep some of it familiar to what we had done in the classroom. Now, there's going to be some differences, of course. I know not everybody had a chance to watch the other one live that I had originally done. But again, I'll go over some of the basics here and we'll go from there. So I see 11 people are online right now, but I only see 6 people on the chat. The first person I see on the chat is Eric. So if you had said something before I had logged on, please say something now. Either hi, here, present. That way I can count you as present for this live cast. Now, again, the reason why I want you to put something into chat is we have to make sure that we have at least live contact with every student at least once a week. So this is my way of keeping attendance for who's been on live is by you guys saying something in the chat box. Now, there is the other attendance document that I had posted to EDSB. So again, each week there's going to be some, or each day I should say, there's going to be some type of question either on EDSB or as a form. Today and tomorrow I'm going to try using EDSB. I'm not as familiar with EDSB, but I just want to see if it's easier to use. So I made a question today. It was not math related. Please make sure you take a moment to answer that before 3 o'clock today. Again, we do have to take attendance daily, so please make sure you try to answer that question before 3 o'clock so I can get the attendance submitted. Now, for today's lesson, I'm going to be doing notes, traditional notes, just like I would in class. I'm going to try and keep things as similar as what you guys are used to. So you will see, again, you will see a page of notes here in just a moment that I'll be handwriting. I'll be working along with you just like I normally would. Couple things though, EDSB has been working very slow. So normally I would check off your notes as an assignment grade, which I still want to do. And I'm going to put a field in EDSB. This morning when I was trying to add it in as an assignment, it was taking it forever to load. So I'm going to add it on there afterwards. It might take it a few minutes because, again, Edsby has been incredibly slow. I'll also post any notes that I have to Edsby as well. I don't know how many of you guys have tried using that tiny URL link that's at the bottom of the screen there, but what that is, that's going to a OneDrive folder, and I'll post it over here in the chat so that you guys can get to it from there as well. But the tiny URL, let me find my thing that I copied. It is. So if you go to that, that'll take you to the e-learning folder. Now, there's nothing in there right now for you guys, but as soon as this is over, I'll be taking the recordings I'm making of class. I'll be uploading it to YouTube. I'll be making a link. I'll be putting in that folder as well as a copy of the notes. I'll take a picture of the notes and post in that folder. So everything that I'm posting to Edsby will also be posted in that folder that's on OneDrive. Now, if you're not logged into OneDrive, then you're going to have to log into it. Again, the same way that you log into Edsby is pretty much the same way you log into OneDrive. The only difference when you go to OneDrive is that if you're not already logged in through like Clever, so again, you could get to it through Clever, but if you're not already logged in, you're going to have to log in, use your student number at hcps.net, and then type in your password. Again, when you do that at hcps.net, it's going to redirect you to the district page and have you log in from the district page. But again, after this class is done live, then there'll be some stuff in the folder for you. I'm also working on an updated calendar for the class, which again, I'm just having to shift everything off about a week. I'll probably do a few less assignments than I would have normally, but I'm still going to try to alternate notes, like on a week where we're not doing any type of testing or anything like that. Notes. I'll still have you guys using Khan Academy, so I'll also have you guys log into that and submitting things from there as well. So there is a chance that I might not have to have a very long live class with you guys some days. Again, for the most part, I'm going to try to keep live classes to 30 minutes or less with you guys. So if you guys can be as prompt as possible when logging in, normally I'll give everybody a couple extra minutes to get logged on. So I think I said 11:15 for this class on Monday. So like I wasn't planning on actually getting started in class until about 11:17, 11:18, just so that everybody has a chance to get logged in. But I'll always post on Remind as well when there's a new class. So again, just make sure you're looking for notifications, making sure you're staying on track with Edsby, or if Edsby is not working for you all the time, then go to the other folder that I have on OneDrive. Now, for Edsby, if I have something due, again, I'm making the due time mostly way out until like 11 p.m. because of the high traffic on Edsby during the actual school day. It's a mess. And then today is even more of a mess because teachers are submitting grades, they're getting verified. There's all sorts of stuff happening on Edsby today, so it's a little bit sluggish. I would think that just like last week, Monday was a little slow last week. Tuesday through Friday got a lot better. Probably same thing for this week. After this week, I think it's going to clear up a little bit more. Now, let's go ahead and start with some notes. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go over to video. Again, during these live sessions, I don't want you guys sharing video. Again, it should just be me sharing video. I'll have live office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That information is also posted on Edsby. But today, what we're talking about is we're getting into a little bit of statistics stuff. We're talking about scatter plots, tables, and graphs. Now, for today, we're really just talking about scatter plots. Scatter plots and graphs. We'll do a little bit more with tables on Wednesday's class time. So today, focusing on scatter plots and graphs. Now, the notes that I'm doing, these are the notes that you're going to be responsible for submitting online. So make sure that you take into account that you're responsible for these notes. Let me focus that. That looks better. All right, so scatter plots and graphs. Now, first thing we need to talk about is correlation. So when we have a graph of data, right, there is a couple different types of correlation that can occur. So correlation is essentially the pattern the data shows. Oops, the pattern. The data shows. So there is what's called a positive correlation, a negative correlation, a strong correlation, and a weak correlation. And you can have, again, a mixture of these things. So positive correlation, negative correlation. And again, I'm going to define these here in a second. But these two go together. All right. So it can only be one of these two at a time. You couldn't have both a positive and negative correlation at the same time. So a positive correlation means the data increases from left to right. So data increases left to right. And I'll check to make sure that I'm not going off the screen. Now it looks good. All right. Negative correlation. This would be the exact opposite. Data decreases from left to right. Now, the next two types of correlation, a strong and a weak correlation. Actually, there's three here: strong correlation, weak correlation, or no correlation. We'll just group weak, strong, and weak together because the last one would also negate the top one as well. Because if there's no correlation, then you couldn't even look at positive or negative. So we have a strong correlation and a weak correlation. So those two are together. Again, could only be one or the other. Can't be both of those at the same time. For a strong correlation, the data fits a pattern, so it could be represented with a function. So I'm going to say there is a pattern and then can be represented with function. Can be with function. And we'll talk about different types of functions in a moment as well. Now, weak correlation, the data has a pattern, but it is more spread out. Now, you could still have a weak correlation that you could do a function for, but it's going to be a lot harder to fit a function to it. So it might be hard to tell what type of function it is going to be, but you can definitely tell at least if there's maybe a positive or negative correlation still, if there's a weak correlation. It might not be easy to tell if it's linear, for example, or it could be represented by a line or something like that. Now, next one, no correlation. So data has no pattern and seems to be random. All right, so those are the different types of correlation. Now we're going to take a look at a couple graphs. So these are going to be some examples of scatter plots. So Scatter plot examples. All right, so I'm going to draw a couple graphs here. And I would recommend you try to draw the same thing. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly the same as mine. If these points are kind of random, just make it look somewhat like it. These are going to be a little more spread out. So again, scatter plot. It looks like a bunch of random points of data that have been plotted. So you can plot a lot of different data with the scatter plot. All right, that looks good. All right, next one. All right. So there's 3 graphs. I think I accidentally said 4 earlier. There's only 3 graphs that I was doing now. There's some other graphs that we're going to talk about in a minute. But here's 3 graphs, 3 different things that we could identify here. So let's start off with the one that's probably the easiest. Out of those 3, one of them has no correlation. So looking at those 3, which one has absolutely no pattern to where the dots are? Well, that'd be the one thing, and the last one, right? So this has no correlation. All right, the next one. So now these 2, one of them we could say is a strong correlation, one of them we could say is a weak correlation. So out of these 2, which one has the tightest groupings, has the best pattern? Well, the first one has the best pattern. It's the strongest. So this would be a strong correlation. But not only is it a strong correlation, we can also get a little bit more specific. So strong comes from that first group up there, or sorry, second group, right? But we could also say whether it's positive or negative. So this is strong, and since it's going up from left to right, it's also positive. So this has a strong positive correlation. This one here, this one, again, it's weaker, it's more spread out, but you can definitely tell that it is going down. It has that general thing. So there is a correlation here because you can tell it is going down. So this would be a weak negative correlation. Now, you can also determine what's called a line of best fit if there's a correlation. So a line of best fit, it's not going to be perfect all the time, and it might not describe every single point on the graph, but if I take a ruler here and line this up, this makes a fairly nice straight line with about half the points on one side, half the points on the other, some of them actually on the line. So that blue line, that's what we call a line of best fit. Let me screw this up. Line of best fit. A line of a function that best represents the data. All right. So that's a line of best fit. Over here, we could do the same thing, but again, it's going to be going down. It's going to be negative. So if I'm looking at this roughly somewhere in the middle there, let's say that it might be somewhere in there. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect for what we're doing right now, but this is going to be a line of best fit, and so is that. I'm going to write that right here. Line of best fit. Those blue lines. All right. So Again, line of best fit, a line of a function that best represents the data. So there are many different types of functions, and you guys have probably talked about a few in different classes. Some of these might be familiar to you, some might not be. Most of these are covered in Algebra 1, the ones I'm going to mention right now. So the first one, let's see. There's a few that, there's actually 4 different types that I'd like to do here, but for each type, I'm going to do a different, let's see. So I need a total of 8 little graphs. So I don't know if you want to do them all in a line or if you want to spread them out. I'm going to try to fit them all in a line here. So this is just an X and Y axis. So again, since we're doing scatter plots and we're focusing on the idea of scatter plots, you could be asked this about a scatter plot. So I'm going to draw it might actually be easier to draw the lines first, these functions, and then after we draw the lines, we'll go back. I'll draw some points. Oops. Let's not do that one. Let's not do this one. You know what? I changed my mind. I want to stay away from the log function. The last one I was going to do was a log. I don't want to do that one. Okay, so the ones that we're going to talk about, these are a straight line. These would be linear functions. Here we're going to have our quadratic function, which is in the shape of a parabola. And these are going to be exponential functions. Oops, exponential. So these are the different types of functions. And again, a lot of times we're going to look at these in terms of a scatter plot. So if you want to draw a few points along the line, just randomly, so that you get the idea that, hey, yeah, we're going to have to look at data and see which one of these best fits it. Now, are there other functions? Yes. But these are the 3 main ones that I want to stick to as far as recognizing them in data for right now. So linear, quadratic, and exponential. But again, there are many other functions that you may have talked about before, like a log function, a cubic function. But yeah, any other questions as of right now? So these are the notes for today. So again, at some point, you need to make sure you have these copied. You need to make sure that you take a picture of it and post it on Edsby. Again, I'm going to make that post here in just a minute because I was trying to get everything posted to Edsby before I started my first class, but everything was going so slow. I didn't make it to post everything for this class yet. So I have like 2 more things to post for my other class and then a couple things to post for this class. But again, your only assignment for today is this, and then make sure you get your attendance assignment done. Every day you're going to be doing an attendance assignment, so make sure you always get that done. Also, for tomorrow, there is going to be a worksheet that I post on Edsby. And again, you don't have to necessarily do the work on the worksheet. You don't have to print it off. As long as you can view it, do the work on a separate sheet of paper. If you want to print it off and then take a picture of it after you've done that, that's fine too. But again, it doesn't matter if you print the worksheets or if you do it on your own paper. Also, anything I post to Edsby, again, will also go in that OneDrive folder. So you will see those as an option as well. But again, when submitting work on Edsby, please make sure you don't message it to me. Make sure you turn it in on the submit button. That's going to be for each assignment. Also, for the time being, the way I'm going to post things on Edsby, if there's anything to attach to a certain assignment, like these notes, for example, I'm going to attach it to the assignment, which means you have to click on the assignment before you actually see the notes that go along with it. So it's going to be, that part might be slightly different than what I've done in the past. All right, any other questions? And if you didn't already say hello, hi, here's something present to let me know that you're in the group, in the chat, please make sure you do so. Let's see. Just want to make sure that I got everybody here. All right. So there's nobody that has any questions at this time? Raise your hand if you're paying attention. Think I've been on mute for all you guys, huh? You guys know how to raise your hand. There we go. Hey, there's one. All right. Well, I will be talking to y'all later. Again, I'm going to end this session. I'm going to post it on YouTube. Okay, on a computer, the way that you raise a hand on the computer, just so you know, if you go to where it says participants at the bottom of the screen, click on participants, then underneath the list of names for the participants, it'll give you the option to raise hand. There we go. All right, so maybe you guys just didn't know where it was. All right. Okay, all right. Well, again, that's it for today. If there's no questions, then I'm gonna go ahead and go. I'm gonna save this recording. I'm gonna post it online, and then I will be on here tomorrow for office hours from, forgot what time I said, I think 12 to 1:30. All right, so again, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to come on during that time as well. But again, it'll be from 12. Let me just double check that time. I don't want to tell you guys the wrong time. Yeah, 12 to 1:30, I'll be on here. All right, have a good day.